So ever since I really started thinking about what I wanted my life to look like, and that was probably around the age that I started medical school, I've always had the same answer, which is a big family and to live as long and as healthily as possible, to still be able to play with my grandkids at the age of 80 or 90 years old. And I know that that sounds a bit silly to some people. A lot of you say in the comments of these videos, why would you want to live to the age of 90 when you can barely look after yourself at that age, when you can barely walk? But that's exactly the point. Because if you live well and you look after your body properly, then there is a very real chance that you don't have to be like that. I see people in the A&E all the time in their 60s who can barely walk down the street without stopping because their heart and their lungs are so damaged. People in their 60s who can't think clearly or remember things because they haven't looked after their brain. And then I meet 90-year-olds with a sharp mind, going on holidays all the time, living independently, playing with their grandkids in the garden. The difference between those two groups of people isn't just luck. It's decades of small decisions quietly compounding. And the gap between 60 and 90 isn't small. It's half a lifetime. And what really frustrates me, and I'm going to be honest about this, is seeing doctors online trying to sell you supplements and pills and powders and drinks, telling you that these things will make you healthy, while all of their content is actually about prevention and lifestyle change. If you listen to their videos and implement the changes that they talk about, then you shouldn't need to buy an expensive supplement from them. The two don't go hand in hand. What the evidence actually points to, again and again, is the boring, simple, unsexy lifestyle measures. Not a powder, not a pill, but habits. What I want to do today in this video is talk to you about a study that makes that point better than almost anything else that I've come across, because it puts a number on it, a real scientific number. The research was published in the Journal of Circulation in 2018, one of the leading cardiovascular journals in the world. And what they did was they followed over 120,000 people across more than 30 years and asked a simple question. If you adopt healthy lifestyle habits, how much longer do you actually live? Not in theory, but in practice, with real data tracked over decades. And the answer was this. Women who followed all 5 healthy lifestyle factors lived an average of 14 years longer than those who followed none. Men lived an average of 12 years longer. Not months, these are years, over a decade of additional life. And crucially, additional healthy life. These weren't extra years in a hospital bed. These were years of functional, independent living. So what are these 5 things then? And this is where it gets really interesting because they're not complicated. They aren't expensive. And not a single one of them comes in a packet or from something that you buy from another influencer or another doctor on YouTube. They are just simple, boring things. The first one is never smoking. And this one has the largest individual effect size of all 5 of them. We know that smoking damages almost every system in the body simultaneously. Your lungs, your heart, your blood vessels, your brain, your immune system. The risk reduction from never smoking or from quitting if you do smoke is really substantial, and it begins almost immediately after stopping. If you're a smoker and you want to do one thing for your long-term health, then this is obviously it. The second thing is a healthy body weight. Specifically, the study defined this as a BMI between 18.5 and 24.9. Now, BMI has massive limitations as a measure. It doesn't distinguish between muscle and fat, and it doesn't tell you where fat is sitting on your body. But as a population level marker, it still holds up. And the broader principle is clear. Carrying significant excess weight, particularly around the middle, places chronic strain on your heart, your metabolic system, your joints, and your inflammatory pathways. The good news is that if you are somebody that's carrying a lot of weight around the middle, then just modest reductions in that excess weight produces meaningful improvements in health markers relatively quickly. The third one is regular physical activity. The study defined this as at least 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity per day. And moderate means exactly that, not intense. A brisk walk counts, a bike ride counts, a swim counts. You don't need to be training for an Ironman or a marathon. The threshold for benefit is lower than most people assume here. And the research is consistent that going from completely inactive to moderately active produces the largest proportional gains in health outcomes. If you're currently somebody who's doing nothing, if you're sat down for the vast majority of the day, then doing something, anything, is your most important move after smoking. Now, number 4 is moderate alcohol consumption. So the study defined this as between 5 and 15 grams of alcohol per day for women and 5 to 30 grams for men. The unit's a bit odd there, I get that. This is roughly 1 to 2 drinks per day. Now, I want to be quite careful here because the science around alcohol and health has become a bit more nuanced in recent years since this study. The World Health Organization now states very clearly that there is no safe level of alcohol consumption when it comes to overall health risk. We know that alcohol increases your risk of several cancers, it raises your blood pressure, it disrupts your sleep, and it promotes visceral fat storage. If you're somebody who drinks, then the further you are from heavy drinking, the better. And if you don't drink, then brilliant, keep doing that. And finally, number 5 is the quality of your diet. The study used a validated healthy eating score that rewarded high intake of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, and healthy fats, and penalized high intake of red and processed meat, refined carbs, and sugary drinks as well. Now, this isn't a specific diet that's got a particular name, it's just a pattern of eating. Like more whole foods, less processed food, more plants, less packaged products. It maps closely onto what we've talked about in previous videos on the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, DASH if you want to Google that, both of which have strong independent evidence behind them. And here's something that I find most compelling about this study, and it's something that doesn't always get highlighted when people talk about it. The researchers also looked at what proportion of early deaths could be attributed to not following these habits. And the numbers are really striking. They estimated that around 75% of deaths from cardiovascular disease and around 50% of cancer deaths in this cohort could have been prevented if everyone had followed all 5 habits. That's 3/4 of cardiovascular deaths preventable through lifestyle. And the effect compounds as well. Following 1 or 2 of the factors helps a bit, but the benefit isn't linear. Following all 5 produce dramatically better outcomes than following just 2 or 3. The factors work together. A good diet supports a healthy weight. A healthy weight makes exercise easier. Exercise improves your sleep. Better sleep reduces the drive to overeat. The habits reinforce each other in a way that makes the whole significantly greater than the sum of the parts. And this is a theme that runs through all of my videos. All of these lifestyle changes work together. And let me just come back to the point that I made near the beginning of the video. So people often say, what's the point of all of this if I've already spent 20 or 30 years not doing these things? And the answer is that it's not too late. It's never too late to start making changes. You have to remember that your body has this remarkable capacity to respond to being treated well, even after years of not being treated well. You've got the most potential out of anybody. The best time to start was always 20 years ago, but the second best time is always now. These 5 factors, so not smoking, having a healthy weight, regular movement, moderate or preferably no alcohol, and good diet quality, that is your list. It's not a supplement stack. It's not something that you can buy. It's just 5 very boring things followed consistently over years. Just remember what I said in the video, 12 to 14 extra good years. The research is clear. The only question is what you decide to do with that information.